Hello everybody and welcome to a quick UFC 2 tips and tricks tutorial video. Now, in this particular video I'm going to be showing you a method you can use to try and get one of the easiest and quickest ways to get a victory while playing UFC 2 in online ranked head-to-head. Now, there are many different techniques you may take online when trying to get the early win, but one of the best, easiest and quickest ways to do this is to hit either the flying armbar or the jumping guillotine. Now, these are high level submission techniques, so not every fighter you pick is going to have them. In this case I went with Uriah Faber from the bantamweight division because I know he does in fact have the jumping guillotine technique. Now, what makes this technique so effective is that unlike a regular submission attempt where you will have about 4 or 5 sections to try and escape that submission attempt, with a jumping guillotine or flying armbar there are only 2, which means if your opponent has a very bad submission defense, or even if you just catch them by surprise, then it will be quite a struggle for them to escape. And I know what you're thinking as well, how can a technique this simple be used in some of the higher divisions of the game? Well, I can tell you myself that I've used it from Division 1 up through to the very top of Division 6, and I still use it to this day. It can be quite an effective technique, especially if you've got a submission fighter with a lot higher submission than your opponent who's probably got a low submission defense. If they've gone for a boxer, then it can work very well in your favour. Now, in order to pull off this technique, what you need to do is get immediately into the clinch. When you go into the clinch, you usually end up in the single collar clinch, which is a 50-50 position. From here you need to transition straight into the tie clinch, then hitting L2 and down for the jumping guillotine, or L2 and up for the flying armbar, or respectively if you're playing Xbox, left trigger and down for the jumping guillotine, or left trigger and up for the flying armbar. And as you can see, the fight is over pretty much as soon as it started. The submission took no time whatsoever. If you are going to use this technique online, then I need to warn you to be prepared for what you're going to receive more than your fair share of hatred messages aimed at you, calling you every name under the sun. Or you may also receive a few nice messages of people just complaining quite naturally about the game being broken, unbalanced, and just overall a little bit shite. But before we go, I'm just going to remind you that if you do fail while using this technique, you will end up on your back. So if you were one of those guys who has a really weak ground game, or one of those guys that gets TKO'd pretty much every time your opponent's mounted you, you should probably go work on that first, because that is a fundamental part of the game. And it is obviously very easy to fail with this technique. If you mess up just with your reactions, just the slightest bit, they can get out. So you've got to be a very competent ground fighter before you go trying something like this. So definitely work on that before you go for such an elaborate technique, but give it a shot all the same if you feel that you're ready, and hope that it brings you many wins. So come back once you've tried it out and let me know how it went. Look forward to seeing you for the next video.